I'm Hero.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Eric.
And this is Fork Bomb.
Wednesday, July 19th, 2017, episode 13, our favorite retro games.
This show almost didn't happen today due to technical difficulties and timing, but mostly timing. But yeah, we thought that it would be great to talk about our favorite games. We've talked about our retro machines and we talked about various other things, but we've actually never talked about the games we enjoyed playing. So we each wrote down 3 of our favorite games, and then none of us actually know the 3 games that we each chose, except maybe Eric because he blurted them out. But anyway, besides that, and we didn't really hear it because static and everything. But yeah, so this we wanted to do that format. We thought it'd be fun, and we thought it'd be fun to discuss that way. So nobody knows each other's games. Let's go.
Eric, you want to go first?
Sure. So one of my first favorite games was actually a really, really old game that was back in the Commodore 64 days. Spy vs. Spy. That one was made in, let's see, what was it, 1993? 1993. And it was a game where you were 2 players, spies, that were trying to compete to get out of the secret base with all these documents of what you were supposed to be getting. And in the process of this, you could see each other playing and set up bombs, and you could set up traps, all sorts of wonderful things. And if you did actually encounter your spy enemy, you would sit there and beat them up with a stick. Really kind of cool.
Was this a movie? I thought Spy vs. Spy was a movie or cartoon or...
There actually was a Spy vs. Spy movie made many, many years after the game, around, I just want to say late in the 2000s.
Oh, okay. Was it based on the game, or was it just happen to have the same name? Do you know?
Probably just had the same name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, per your suggestion, I actually did try Spy vs. Spy.
Oh, yeah?
Played against the computer. I guess I need practice because I sucked at it. Like, the computer was just always on my tail in every single room that I went to, and then I would get bonked with a stick and I would be dead.
Oh yeah,
and
the computer guy is definitely hard at first.
I knew you could set traps, put stuff in drawers, but I never had enough time to do any of that by the time the computer was fighting me.
Yep, you've got to be fast. Even though this was a game made in the early 90s, it was a fast-paced game. The computer knew where everything was, and you could kind of see where everything was by the little dots on the screen. Mind you, I played this originally on a Commodore 64 SX64, the portable with that really tiny screen.
Would
Wow.
would you be interested in maybe doing some net play of Spy vs. Spy on a Commodore 64 emulator?
Interesting. Yes.
Because it does support that.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, cool.
So was this game ever brought to any other platforms? Or Chris, did you play it on the Commodore 64? Or?
I played it on the C64 just recently in the Vice emulator.
Okay, very nice. I actually need to look up to see if any other systems had it. But,
no, it was never. I don't think it was ever actually on any other kind of game system. Otherwise, it's been introduced. Actually, it did come up with a Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh,
but
did it?
It was
oh,
only
yeah, here it is.
based on the game, not actually the game.
It was also on the Apple II.
What do you mean based on the game? That's like a movie based on a movie.
Yeah.
It was on the Acorn Electron, the Amiga, the Amstrad CPC, the Apple II, the Atari 8-bit, the Atari ST, the BBC Micro, the Commodore 16, the Commodore 64, Game Boy Color, oh my god, I hope they have multiplayer. I've got to try that. MSX, NES, Sega Master System, Sharp X1, ZX Spectrum, and iOS.
How about PlayStation 2? I think I see one here. 2005? That not the same?
That's the 2005 version, yeah. I'm talking about the 1984 version.
Got it.
Yeah, the 1984 version. That's the big one. Yeah, I guess it was on multiple consoles. I just never saw it in iOS and Xbox. Really? I'm surprised.
Huh. I've never played this. I'm looking at images right now. It looks pretty fun.
Oh yeah, and they have people that dress up as the gray spy and the black spy at Kamikaze and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Huh.
Because they have those long, pointy faces.
Yeah. I'm seeing them here, black and white. Okay. Well, yeah, that's great. Chris, do you want to talk about your favorite game?
Okay, sure. I'll start with the least favorite of the three, and I'll work my way up. Next time it's my turn. So, my first pick is Metroid 2 Return of Samus. It was the second installment in the Metroid series. It was released in 1991, and it was only on the Game Boy. And while it graphically did not compare to even the previous NES version due to lack of color, or the later versions due to just general lack of graphics, in my opinion, I think it is my absolute favorite version. If anyone that has never played a Metroid game, it's side-scrolling, you run through corridor after corridor after corridor, you fight enemies, you get upgrades to weapons, you fight off these crazy monsters that latch onto you called Metroids. But it was the first game that I played as a kid that was truly that expansive. I mean, sure, there was Legend of Zelda on the original Legend of Zelda, but on that tiny square screen on the Game Boy, they did such a good job at conveying just an endless labyrinth to go through, to explore. Constantly kept you on your toes, constantly kept you trying different things, constantly was anxiety-inducing, wondering when the next monster would come out around the corner. And whenever one did come out, it would go from there was barely any music, like maybe subtle music, little sounds here and there. But then, when you saw the Metroid, it was this crazy, jarring, dissonant sound sequence that it would play that would scare the crap out of me every single time.
I think I remember the music. Wasn't it something like dum 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 dum?
Yeah.
Dum 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 dum.
But then it would get like really quiet, and then when you would see the Metroid, it would like be on screen for just a fraction of a second before it started fighting, and then I go da da da, and it's like oh shit, missiles.
Yeah, yes, I remember there was Omega Metroids, I believe, and the Zetas. Then you had the Metroid Queen that looked like a dragon.
It of course follows the protagonist, Samus Aran, who is a space bounty hunter. She is a space bounty hunter, and also fights space pirates.
Which actually nobody knew. Nobody knew it was a she until the end of the first Metroid when she took off her helmet.
Yep. So yeah, that's my favorite installment in the Metroid series, Metroid 2: Return of Samus. Did either of you play it?
Absolutely. One
Yes.
of my all-time favorites as well. In fact, I think I have pretty much every one of the games even today, even including the Wii versions of it with the collector's edition in the tinfoil case.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, that one's nice. That's the trilogy.
Yes, and
Yes.
they're selling that one now for. They're trying to sell it for as much as $200-$400 even.
No.
I know, right? I bought it for a nice grand total of $50 used.
Man,
That's how hard it is to find it, though.
that's nice. I've actually I do own. I know we're getting away from the topic of Metroid 2, but hey, it's Metroid. I do own the Super Nintendo cartridge to Super Metroid. So, but and the cartridge to Metroid 2. Yeah,
Nice.
those are the only two that I own. Yeah. So Eric, I'm sorry, Chris, have you ever played another Metroid 2 remake?
Yes. In fact, I downloaded it before it was removed for download because we all knew Nintendo would do it. So I have the Windows version hanging around that I play under Wine, and it runs flawlessly.
I heard really, really good things about that.
Yeah, it's a solid
about that
game.
version.
I really need to pick it back up again.
Yeah, I've also played Metroid 2, and I don't remember if I beat it or not. I got the spider ball, and I was climbing all over each cave and everything, or the cave. There's no cave. The planet.
Maybe we should elaborate
yeah.
on another Metroid 2 remake. It is, as it says, another Metroid 2 remake, but it's for PC, various operating systems, and it is a new port, full color, higher resolution, new sounds. This was a labor of love by an individual, or maybe a small team of individuals. It is fantastically done, and sadly, Nintendo shut them down so hard. I mean, they weren't even selling it; they were just giving it away.
Right, and we were all hoping for that magic port for Nintendo 3DS or just regular DS. At least I was waiting for it. I would have been stoked. Or an Android port or something.
Yeah, and Nintendo's not going to do it.
Of course. Did you know about the Easter egg about Metroid 2?
No, what is it?
At the very ending, if you beat it quickly enough, you could get Samus down to a swimsuit.
8-bit gray swimsuit.
Uh-huh.
I need to play it again. That's it. Oh, man.
What is your first game, Mira?
So, the first game I have on my list is Command and Conquer. It is a strategy game released in 1995. I almost put down that it's the first strategy game, but I would have been wrong. So good thing I didn't, because there was other games like Dune 2000 that was actually I don't know if it's credited for being the first strategy game, but it was definitely before Command and Conquer. Anyway, I played tons of Command and Conquer, especially the DOS version. It's I remember spending something like 15 hours in one mission because I was playing as the GDI, and the Nod, the bad guys, had blown up my Tiberium collector, and that's what collects all the money. And so I had a few men, and some of the believe they were hover helicopters. Oh, they have names. I can't believe I forgot them already. But anyway, and I only had a few of those, and I kept having to go back to the bad guy's base and blow up some stuff, and then go back to my base and repair them, and then go back to the other base and then blow it up. Anyway, so this really tedious task took 7 hours to finally beat that mission. I just kept going back and forth, and then, killing off one guy or two guys, and then regrouping back and fixing my whatever those things are called. Orcas, that's what it is, orcas. Sorry about that. Yes, so I, anyway, I've never played a game quite like that before. So I wanted to put it on my list, Command and Conquer. And that's one of those ones that had full motion video, which I know everybody enjoyed back in the 90s. So and the music was fantastic. I actually like it so much that I still listen to it today. It's on my MP3 player. So that's my first game. Have any of you played Command and Conquer?
Absolutely. I used to network play that with my friends and go to network parties with it. That was definitely one of my favorite strategy type of games.
Do you remember how you got yours to run on? Because I guess you weren't running DOS or anything at the time, right?
Yeah, actually. There was the DOS version and the Windows version that came later on, but the DOS version actually ran over the IPX SPX network.
Yes, I remember, right. But were you running it on Linux, and then you found some way to run the program under Linux? Or?
Oh no, I still had DOS back then.
Oh, okay, that's great. So, I guess Chris, you're the only one that hasn't played Command and Conquer.
I have played Command and Conquer.
Oh, you have?
Back then, I played Command and Conquer Red Alert, and I remember enjoying it.
Yeah,
I just don't enjoy it now.
I was hoping we could play it on our DOS rigs, but yeah. Now they have all these different packs and everything that you can buy. I bought one pack. It was I think it was $10, and it comes with every single Command and Conquer made. You just have to download the game through Origin, through EA's system. It's like EA Steam, and you get to download any of them. I bought that, but then I went back and decided that I wanted each physical copy of the games, so I bought each one. So kind of like Eric with his Metroid games, I bought every Command and Conquer.
Nice.
Nuclear launch detected.
Yes.
So here's the question, the ultimate question: GDI or nod?
Nod. That was easy. Yeah, I loved going with my buggies and blowing up villages and stuff.
Yeah, the stealth buggies.
Yes, the stealth buggies. Yes. Oh, and having the hand of the obelisk of light and burning people with it. Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my brother used to sit there when we would play on the network. He would set up all his what are they, the cloaking guys? I forget what I just said the name.
There's some tanks that would cloak
the
too.
the cloaking tanks.
Right.
He would set those up right around my harvester, and just sit and wait until he had all of them around it, and then when I was not paying attention, he would just start shooting my harvester, and then by the time I would find the harvester, he'd already stopped and cloaked him again.
Oh. What a devious strategy. What I did was I would have a bunch of guys, and I would create a bunch of engineers. So bunch of guys, a bunch of engineers. First thing I would do in the beginning of the mission is I would send men to 5 different corners of the maps. All right, 5, 6 different corners. Anyway, so I would send them everywhere, and I would find out where the other base was. And then I'd create a ton of men and a bunch of engineers, tons, because I knew they would die. And so I would just send them all out. And then eventually some would capture, key buildings from the other base, and I would immediately sell it. And so that's how I would take out bases without, that I would first go for their Tiberium extracting facility. And I would first go for that, and then their barracks and everything, and just sell everything. And yeah, that was my favorite strategy. But yeah, good times.
Oh yeah.
So that's my first game. Shall we go around to our second game?
Let's.
Sure.
Eric?
Yeah, so my second game is actually a game that's pretty old, but was made by Electronic Arts, and it's called The Bard's Tale. It was made in 1985, and it was originally released for the Apple II, but also available for the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, the Amiga, the Atari, MS-DOS, Macintosh, and NES. And this was like one of the first few dungeon crawlers that had a really thorough storyline. So, long ago, basically, magic had still prevailed, and evil wizard and the dark, an evil wizard, Mangar the Dark, threatened a small harmonious country called Scarabray, and evil creatures were all over Scarabray, and Mangar, the dark guy, whatever you want to call him, froze the surrounding lands with a spell of eternal winter, totally isolating Scarabray from any possible help. So you, the hero, have to go and save Scarabray through all these dungeons and all sorts of different maps, and it was a really big game.
Was this game? Do you happen to know if it was one of those? Because I think this was one of those games that you would actually. It was kind of like a first person, not shooter, but you would go around, and it's kind of like Ultima, I think, right?
It was kind of like that, but it was not as first person as that. It was actually before first person shooters even came about. It was more like, instead of you having free motion, it was frame by frame. So you would turn, and it would completely turn you like 90 degrees to the left or right.
Uh-huh.
And then you would move forward.
Right. So in this game, I guess you'd pick up items and wear different armor and everything, and you'd have stats. How would you compare this game to something like any of the Elder Scroll games?
It was definitely similar to the idea, and definitely as expansive, just not quite as 3D at the time.
Sure.
I just
Did you?
looked up what it looks like, just for curiosity's sake. So, I guess the one that I'm seeing is the one on the Apple IIgs. It has a window with, and in the upper left-hand corner, it has a small view of what you're actually seeing. And then a window next to that, it says things like, you are facing south, and you are in Skara Brae, press any key. And then it gives you your character names and stats and stuff below those two windows. Does that sound about right?
Yep, that sounds like the original.
And is the original the one that you're currently talking about?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, they've had several editions of it, but the first one is memorable because it was the first one that you could play different historic characters like a bard, hunter, monk, paladin, rogue, warrior, magician, and a conjurer.
Which one was your favorite?
I was always the paladin.
The paladin. Just.
Yes.
So, if you were to
Yes.
summarize what you loved about the game, how would you put it?
Just the exploration factor of it, and the world. Being able to just flat out explore a world in a different point of view, because at the time, this was revolutionary.
I see.
And later on, the storyline was just amazing. It actually had a full-fledged storyline that you could follow through and understand, and it was just nice.
Did your version have anything specific like I don't know, VGA graphics or I don't know, some sort of support for sound? Did you play it with any with AdLib or whatnot? I don't actually know what this game supported, but I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, it worked with AdLib, it worked with Sound Blaster, it worked with the Commodore 64, which is where I first got it, but I also did it on MS-DOS as well because I liked it. It had sound. You as you were going through the dungeon, it would just make the sounds of you walking, but even though it was frame by frame, you would make the sound of your sword swinging and hitting the monster or whatnot. Magic spells would... it would do all sorts of nice things. And
So did you ever get a chance to beat the game?
oh yeah, many times over.
That's great. Did you put tons of hours into it? It sounds like a game that you could sink tons of hours to.
Oh yeah, tons of hours, tons and tons of hours.
Okay,
Who's
great.
I forget who's next, you or me.
I think it's you.
My second game is Star Wars TIE Fighter.
Yes.
Published by LucasArts, developed by Totally Games, and was released on MS-DOS, the Macintosh, later on Microsoft Windows, and apparently there's a Linux port from Good Old Games. And it's a space shooter, but the premise is that whereas in most Star Wars games it's good versus evil and you're playing as the Rebel Alliance, in this game you're playing as the Empire. The artwork for the box shows five TIE fighters, and one of them is flying through an exploding X-Wing with Darth Vader's large bulbous helmet overlaid in the background. And in my opinion, it is still one of the best space shooters to have ever been released. And the version that I have is the one that also goes to a full 640 by 480 VGA mode. And even today, it still looks good. They made such good use of, I don't know if it was true 3D, but it looks and feels like a simple 3D game. It plays smoothly. The missions are in depth. You always have various requirements. It's rarely easy. You're always fighting for your life. You're always in the run. You're always having to do resource management. It's intricate too because you have to constantly decide, okay, do I want to trade off speed to add more powers to my power to my weapons and shields, or do I want to forego that and just go extra fast to get to somewhere or get away from something. For such an old game, it's so intricate and so well developed, and I haven't seen anything. Oh, but it's still just simple enough. I haven't seen anything that strikes that balance since then.
I remember that game being really hard. I don't even remember beating it. Did you ever get a chance to beat it?
I still haven't beaten it. I'm still currently playing through it actually, but this time I'm gonna beat it.
All right. I actually have an interesting story about TIE Fighter, and it's actually really, really, really brief. And it's basically that I broke my joystick because of TIE Fighter. So I had the TIE Fighter, I had the TIE Fighter demo. It came in 2 3.25 floppy, 3.25 floppies, and I had the DOS version. I know that later on they made a special edition like CD-ROM version, but I had the DOS version, and anyway, I had connected a joystick that my dad bought for me at I think it was Computer City at the time. Computer City. Anyway, I would play TIE Fighter, and I loved shooting the other ships, especially ships that had cargo. I would love just shooting them, and then I would pull away as soon as I got to them, like right before I crashed. I would just yank up on the controller, and that's exactly how I broke it. It just I would do that over and over again, and then all of a sudden, one time I guess I yanked too hard, and it just stayed there. It wouldn't go back to the center. So yeah, TIE Fighter.
I don't know if I mentioned when it was released, July 1994. But the DOS version, one thing that's very notable about it is if you were lucky enough to have an AWE and an AW64 or AWE64 Sound Blaster, the music sounds so much better because it has wavetable support. The MIDI sounds, compared to the regular Sound Blaster 16 version, it sounds real in comparison.
That's great, because I've never played it under with wavetable support before. I've only played it with the Sound Blaster 16. I've actually today I still haven't heard it, what it actually sounds like with wavetable. So I definitely need to.
You need to, yes. I actually play it with a mouse, which is a little bit harder, but you get kind of adept at it. But you're constantly picking it up and pulling back, picking it up and pulling back to go one way, or picking it up and pushing forward, and picking it up and pushing forward to go the other way. But you can get the hang of it pretty well.
I actually do have a joystick that I used to use back when there was a game called Falcon 4.0. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Falcon series, but I bought a joystick just for that game, and it's a Cytec X51, I think, and it has the flight stick, but then it also has the other one, to accelerate and decelerate.
Oh, neat.
So it's yeah, and actually I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna connect that. Yeah, I'm gonna hook it up and play some TIE Fighter with wavetable.
May have to borrow that from you one day.
Certainly.
What about you, Eric? Do you have anything to add about that one?
I don't think I've ever played that one.
Oh, you're missing out. You are missing out.
I know.
You get to feel so evil.
Evil sometimes is good.
When you do especially well on a mission, you first they give you an award ceremony, but then you're brought to a secret layer where there are hooded figures, and you are inducted into the secret order of the Emperor, and then some guy shoots lightning at your arm, and it puts this crazy pink imperial tattoo that grows and grows and grows the more that you do. And on the main screen, it shows your arm, and when you mouse over, it pulls your sleeve down and shows you the expanding tattoo that you get.
Oh, nice.
So I am currently a member of the Secret Order of the Emperor.
That's great. I really want to play it now. I think I'll want to play the CD version, though. I don't really feel like playing the old floppy version.
Yeah, I can send you a disc image of my copy if you want.
Yeah, I'd like to check it out.
Oh, and I have the original, the actual CD. What about you, Eric? Wait, is it your turn, or I forget whose turn is it? It is.
It's yours.
That's right. Sorry.
That's okay. So, my second game is actually, and this is pretty popular, so I think everybody would know about it, and it's Descent. Descent,
A good choice.
which, thank you. So Descent was published by Interplay and developed by Parallax in 1984. And it is a sort of first-person shooter, but you're actually in a spaceship, in a ship, or mining ship, I guess, at this point. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So kind of, I don't know if it was I didn't read the story of Descent. I didn't really care about that. I like the gameplay. But apparently there's these mining droids on different planets that that are misbehaving, and you need to go over there as I think it's a security ship is what I think it is. You're a security pilot, and you have to go over there and take care of business. So, Descent is just one of those games that I was playing tons of Wolfenstein 3D and Doom back then, and it was one of those games that just took it to the next level. And everybody says, oh, like Quake took Doom to the next level because it was fully 3D and everything. That's great, but for me, see, Descent came before Quake, and I could move not only side to side and move forward and backwards, but I could move up and down, and to me that was just mind blowing. So I played lots of Descent, and then I could use my my modem to play online, and by online I mean just with another friend. So we were using TCP. Does Descent support TCP, or was it IPX?
It wasn't TCP.
Probably IPX. TCP?
It was either a direct modem connection or IPX, if you're on a LAN.
That's correct.
Right. So I remember playing with a buddy of mine, and we would play all the time. And actually, I don't remember if him and I both beat the game, but I definitely beat the game. And there was about 32 levels. I think there was some extra bonus levels there. And you would go from, all the planets in the solar system. And that game was, to me, it was amazing. I remember playing it recently with you, Chris, over with our DOS rigs. And to me, it's still great.
Yes, indeed, it is. I too played it back then. And not only could you go forward, back, left, right, up, and down, but you could also pitch and roll. So a lot of times you were flying upside down or sideways,
yes.
And the controls are very unique in that you basically have two sets of arrow keys, and one set will control your forwards, backwards, and then your strafing, but then the other one will control you're going up and down and rolling.
I remember the controls being like that, right?
I wonder if it's possible to use two joysticks, because that would work great.
Oh, you know what did work great, since you mentioned it? I had the Microsoft 3D Sidewinder for that game.
Ooh.
Which had all the controls left, right, up, down, but it also had the twist on the handlebar.
Oh, wow.
On that joystick. So you could actually easily
turn your... Mm-hmm.
And it actually worked for that?
Oh, yeah, and it did. And combined with that, I had borrowed a friend of mine's, it was my sister's husband's father. He had bought a 3D mouse.
Huh.
That was a mouse that tilted forward, tilted back, tilted to the left and to the right, and you could push it all around in a square box, and also pull it and push it. So both of those combined with Descent was I was unstoppable.
Neat.
That game was just amazing. I remember just throwing flares everywhere, and then all the bad guys would go, they'd get all excited or whatever when I would throw a flare somewhere, and they go to the spot, and then I would kill them from behind and stuff.
I didn't know you could do that.
I remember definitely fooling. Oh, you know why? Because I would open up doors with the flares. I'd open up doors, and then yeah. Yeah, it's Oh, and remember those areas that have the it looked like a purple web.
Yes.
And the baddies would just to come in through that teleport.
And then
yeah.
And then when you play multiplayer, one person finds the reactor, kills it, leaves, and the other person is just stuck, and the guy that got it like
and the more the time goes, the harder it is to to steer.
Yeah, your ship gets all janky on you.
Yeah. That was great.
So even when you do find the exit, if it's gone for too long, sometimes you just can't get through it because you just can't control your ship.
Yep.
Right. They had that you know who I hated was those guys with the machine gun.
Yeah.
You'd hear it. As soon as you heard it, you were dead. Because they never miss. I hate those fuckers. They would come around and...
The Vulcan cannons?
Yeah, the Vulcan cannon guys. They would just go around and as soon as you hear the... That's it.
Yep.
You're dead. Descent. So Descent, I had bought the shareware version first. It came in 2 floppy disks as well. And a really neat box. It was kind of a brown and black with that ball, the shield ball in the middle. That blue shield ball with lightning going across it. And actually, I didn't even know what I had purchased back then. So it was $10. I remember it was $10. And I didn't know my dad had just bought it for me. I didn't know what it was. And I put it in and I was hooked. And that was just on the shareware version. So a few years later, I think I had gotten all A's or something like that in my report card back then. And my dad bought me the full game, so which came in an even bigger box that was brown and black. And this was back then when the games came in full boxes, so full size boxes.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it was on CD. And actually, I still have it. And I also have a lot of people made levels for Descent. They were they used an editor called Devil, so it was Descent level editor. And they were making a ton of levels. Actually, they did that for a lot of games back then, like Doom. They had this one called this disc called D Zone, and you had lots and lots of levels for Doom and everything. And so this one was Dimensions, so Dimensions for Descent, and it was 75 user made levels that you could load up. And I still have that disc too today.
Cool, that's a good choice though. I like Descent.
Thank you. I'm excited to hear your next one.
All right. Well, my next one's going to be a rather interesting one, I think. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe not. It was a game by Sierra made in 1993, and it was called Space Quest V, Roger Wilco.
The next mutation. Yes.
Now, this was a game that was primarily a specific parody of Star Trek. While there were some references to other films, they had all sorts of weirdness about it. So when he starts off, your main character is of course Roger Wilco, and he stops mid-mission on his ship when he's revealed to be playing in a flight simulator, not actually a real ship, that's suspiciously shaped like the Millennium Falcon. At the StarCon Academy. And,
it's a rip on Starfleet.
Yep. Oh yeah, very much. But all this time you're being hunted and alone. You start off on a planet called WD-40.
You forgot to mention Roger Wilco's profession.
Oh yes, Roger Wilco's profession. What was his profession? Actually?
Well, he has 2 in this one, right?
Yeah, he does.
There's 2 different professions. It just depends on. Yeah, I mean, I know them.
Yeah, go ahead and say.
I don't know the second one. Honestly, I never played this. I never played this version, but I do know that in other versions he is a janitor.
Yes, he's a space janitor,
and he just wants to be left alone to go take a nap.
Something like that. And then all this stuff happens. I think in the first one, that's the siren encounter. Yeah, he's stuck in this. Anyway, but in this one, he cheats his way into becoming a captain of a ship.
Yep.
Yeah, he's and that's actually one of my favorite parts of the game. You have to look over your shoulder and see other people's answers on the test, and you have to make sure you do it before the was a teacher, like a flying robot or something, is a orb or something. I forgot what it was, but anyway, the teacher couldn't. You would lose if the teacher spotted you, so you'd fail and you'd have to restart. But yeah, that's how you become a spaceship captain. And oh man, that game, I remember well. Actually, I died a lot in that game.
I think
Yeah.
anybody playing it dies a lot, but some of the quirks in that game is just amazing. Like, suddenly you see a pink bunny rabbit with a drum and an Energizer battery, and you have to take it. Yes,
You
the
know,
Energizer bunny is in this game.
I also saw that bunny is also in Space Quest 4.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember well. Actually, I don't remember the name of Space Quest 4. How dare I? The Space Rippers, the Time Rippers, something like that. Something about time.
The Time Rippers, yes.
Yeah.
But what I liked about this game is just all the dynamics going on, because you're all over space. You're basically all over time. You're doing all these crazy things, and you're wondering what's next.
I'm another part that I remember in that game. It was pretty far into it. There's a part where you're playing Battleship with your kind of nemesis in the game, which is another captain. Yeah, so I remember that well too. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and play that too.
I need to play it for the first time. I've only heard of it.
You
and
need to.
heard it described, but I really need to play it.
Yeah, I mean, all the space quests were crazy, but 5 just topped everything.
I agree. 5 was my absolute favorite. Absolutely. They actually made a 6, but I don't think it was as good as 5.
Yeah, I think what I liked about the game too was what contents the box came with. They had this magazine, and all these stupid things all over the magazine, like you're shopping through a list of products, and it was part of the copy protection because you'd use that to get through some of the code. But articles like Epicea, so you can get that chia off those random places on your legs. I'm like, what?
Yes, yeah, Chris, you absolutely need to play this game. I mean, you like Star Trek, and I assume you like Monkey Island, and well, this is a blend of both.
Oh yeah, it is.
This is my homework. Okay, I'll do this.
It even has space monkeys.
I've put it up on the chat. The specific part where he's cheating on a test.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And you walk around and you click everywhere and you do things with other things. So it's kind of like Monkey Island, but yeah, you get your own ship and everything, and you have a Terminator-like robot that is hunting you, and yeah, it's great. It kind of like the Star Trek 25th anniversary and stuff, but funny.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I thought was kind of funny about the particular game was that as you go on with the game, eventually you get a mascot called Spike, and who isn't quite housebroken, quote unquote, and he leaves puddles of caustic acid behind wherever he goes. You remember Spike?
Yes, and don't walk over that.
Ever.
That'll be yes. Oh, and another great thing about Space Quest games, and especially this one, is every ending is different. I mean, not ending of the game. Every time you die, it's like a different thing that the announcer would have or would say, or the animation would be different. It was just neat like that.
Yep.
Good stuff.
So, whose turn is it? Chris?
Yes, I think so. My final pick is Punch-Out!, or more specifically, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!. It was released by Nintendo in the first one was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, and it was released in 1987 for the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Famicom. And it is a boxing game. And you play as the protagonist, Little Mac, and you're just this little average-looking guy. You don't usually only see the back of him until you win. And you fight this ladder of boxers who get better and better and better as you go, and more crazy and powerful and big, until eventually you get to Mike Tyson. And even though the gameplay is very simple and the graphics are pretty primitive because it's an 8-bit system, it is such a hard game to learn and intricate to play because each character has their own little nuance or thing you have to look for. For example, King Hippo, you have to wait until he'll just block everything that you throw at him, but you have to wait until he does this little triple hop, and then you punch him in the face. That makes his pants fall down and exposes his belly button, which has a bandit on it. Then you start wailing on his belly button until eventually he gets knocked out and he's so fat that he can't get up again. Or there's the genie guy, Tiger something, and he has a turban with a jewel in the center, and you have to watch for that jewel to blink, and however many times it blinks, that will tell you what kind of jab he's going to do. Or in the case of Mike Tyson, he just blinks his eyes really, really quick. And once you get to Mike Tyson, one hit, you're done. He is so impossibly hard to beat. And you have to memorize every single sequence that he does. And you do barely any damage, and he just takes you out in one hit. So it is easily my favorite boxing game of all time. Better than any modern boxing game today.
Here, definitely agree. I remember that game too.
I think it was an absolute gem that that Nintendo had released, and it came out so early in the system's life. It's just it's interesting that we're still talking about it today, just like we are about Mario and Zelda and Metroid. It just comes to show you that back then the games that were coming out were really impactful. I mean, games came out in the mid 2000s, and I don't really remember a whole lot what came out back then. I don't know. Half-Life 2 is the only thing that I can think of. Doom 3, but I mean, they're not as people still talk about these games that are way older, and so that's just a testament of how well these games were made. The tight controls and everything. I did see a guy on YouTube beat Punch-Out blindfolded, I think. Have you seen that, Chris?
No, that's insane.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was blindfolded. It was something definitely unique. So and I think it was blindfolded. I want to go with that. Yeah. So it's out there if you want to check it out. But yeah, I've actually never played Punch-Out.
Wow.
Interesting fact. Mike Tyson was paid $50,000 for to use his likeness for a 3-year period. And when that 3 years ran out, they re-released it instead of as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, just as Punch-Out. And Mike Tyson was replaced as the final character with the fictional Mr. Dream, who was basically the same character, just looked different.
Mr. Dream.
I remember Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
And they got his likeness pretty well, even in 8-bit, down to the gap in his teeth.
Yep. And yeah, he was ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, you've definitely got to play it.
Yeah, I remember the specific details you were mentioning when you were saying, yeah, have to punch him in the face and his pants fall. Yeah, I remember all that. Yep. Oh my gosh.
And they were all different. I mean, so much thought was put into it. When you do play Euro, be sure you have a good gamepad. You need quick reflexes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I might need to. I have a Super Nintendo to USB gamepad. So Super Nintendo pad to USB.
If it's an original Super NES controller, then yeah, that'll be perfect. If it's one of those knockoff ones, those things are just gummy and terrible.
Oh, okay, then I don't know.
It's also on a Virtual Console. It's on the 3DS.
Okay.
It's on the Wii. It's on the Wii U.
Great. Yeah, then I'll be able to play it on the 3DS.
Good stuff.
Seems like we all have games to play. I do have one more that I don't know if anybody will know, but maybe.
Let's have it.
Okay, so the game that I have, my last game, is actually made by Delphine Software. It's a platformer made in 1992, and it's called Flashback: The Quest for Identity. It came out for various consoles, so the Super Nintendo, and the Genesis had it, but I actually played it on my MS-DOS PC. So I had the DOS version, and my version was in French. So good thing it was a platformer that had some text, but yeah, you didn't really have to worry about the text too much. So you're playing as this guy who was being chased down by some other guys, and a really cool FMV sequence starts in the beginning, and it actually used rotoscoping technology, which I don't know if any of you have played a game called Another World.
Yes.
Or
Played that one.
in the US they called it Out of This World, published by Interplay, and so it used that same kind of technology, that rotoscoping technology, where it graphics really, they're very fluid. You know, it was definitely, to me, it was unique at the time, and it just gave it that extra bit of realism. So in the beginning sequence, you had this guy, and he's running away from these two guys, and he gets on this kind of hover bike, and then he goes off, and then these other guys chase him on a spaceship, on a ship, and they shoot it down. He lands in a jungle, and he wakes up, doesn't remember anything. So you're playing through this game, and you have to kind of make your way over to the city called a city on Titan. I think it's called New Washington, and then you make your way over to Earth, and then there's this part that reminds me of a Schwarzenegger movie back in the 80s. The part of the game where you go into this death tower, and they were that you could tell they were inspired by a movie called The Running Man, with Schwarzenegger. And so you have to defeat all these guys going up from level to level. You have to beat all these guys until you make it to the very top, and then you win a prize to go to Earth. So, and then after that, then you end up in this the Morph's homeland. It's like these aliens that could morph into humans, and you use as glasses. So obviously the people that made this game really liked action movies, because there's this thing where they put these glasses, or he puts these kind of like a eyepiece on, like a Google Glass. He puts his eyepiece on, and you can tell if they're aliens or not. And that reminds me of the movie They Live, another 80s movies where this guy would put on glasses and you could tell if he was an alien or not. So that's another movie they took that off. And a lot of the design for New Washington reminds me of Total Recall. So, but anyway, really, really great platformer. It was actually one of the first games that I ever played on the PC. Besides, I used to have like an 8088 and stuff, and I was playing Eagle's Nest and Alley Cat and whatnot at the time. But when I got my 486, that was one of the first games that my dad got for me, actually. Flashback. So, yeah, love it to this day. Actually, I actually beat it recently again, and then they made a remake and beat that one too. And yeah.
So you play the DOS version?
I did. Played the DOS version. Mm-hmm.
Did you read the number of platforms that Flashback is on?
I did not. I know that I just know that it's on those two consoles and the PC.
So, according to Wikipedia, the Amiga, the Acorn Archimedes, the Mega Drive Genesis, MS-DOS, the NEC, PC 9801, the Super NES, Sega CD, FM Towns, the 3DO, CDI, Atari Jaguar, Mac OS, iPhone OS, Symbian, Mamo, and the Nintendo Switch.
Wow.
Nintendo Switch?
Yeah.
What?
I am definitely getting that on my Switch.
What?
Yes.
How do they... Is it the original? Is it like a port, or what is it? I mean, it must be a port.
I think they have a big library of Jaguar games, strangely.
Huh.
But also Mamo. I mean, that is obscure. That was the Linux-based operating system that Nokia had on their tablets and on the N900. I remember running Mamo on my Nokia N810 Internet tablet, which it was a fantastic machine. But interesting to see that such an obscure game was on such an obscure operating system. I mean, what are the odds?
And Symbian too.
Wow. I didn't know. That's great. If you like platformers and whatnot, I recommend it. It's a solid platformer. I mean, it's not like Mario or anything where you get to jump on Goombas or anything like that. but it is it's pretty realistic as far as the you can't fall from heights, you die, and yeah, but check it out. I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff.
I most definitely will.
Yeah, me too, I think.
Is that all of our games?
Well, I have one more.
Sure.
Quick one.
Yay!
My all-time favorite game was Unreal, the original.
Nice.
Oh man, the one where you're in the planet, right? And you have to, yeah,
Exactly.
right.
With the first Unreal Engine, which Epic Mega Games was involved with from the very beginning, and it was like the first-person shooter that really changed everything.
Wow.
It had that perfect balance of speed and controls, and it just felt right.
Yep. And also, something I learned later on is that Future Crew helped make some of the parts of the game. An old ASM tournament team from Finland that did ASM demos.
Who is ASM?
I'm not.
That was the assembly demo group from Finland.
Huh.
They made their goal was to make as small as possible the most thorough assembly-based demos that they could for, graphics, show-offs, various different pattern matrices, blendings, 3D objects,
Nice.
even lemmings.
Even lemmings.
Even lemmings, yes.
That's great. Cool. I think that the first Unreal tournament used the same engine.
Yes, it did. The Unreal Tournament was the same Unreal Engine 1.
Mm-hmm.
So is Unreal different from Unreal Gold?
I don't know. Gold.
Oh, it might be the same.
Looking it up. Because I know Unreal Gold is on Steam, and I currently have that version on my Win98 machine, but... sorry. So, it's Unreal and Unreal returned to Na Pali, and they were bundled together as Unreal Gold. So it's two
Exactly.
games in one.
The anthology.
Return to, is that a DLC or so? Well, not a DLC. Oh boy. Okay, was that the extra pack or something? Or Return to Napoli was that like an expansion pack?
Let me find out. Hang on. I'm curious. I know that Unreal is multiplayer. Does it have a co-op campaign mode?
Think it did, actually, yes.
It is an expansion pack.
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be really fun to do some Unreal co-op if that's a thing.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'd be down for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's not really much else to be said besides it's just awesome.
Yes, exactly. That's why I mentioned it as the last one.
Looks great, plays great.
Play it.
Yeah, if you haven't played it, what are you doing? Stop what you're doing, go play it. Right now.
All right, right now.
Ignore our other games and just play that
You
one.
have you have somehow failed at life, and you can succeed by playing it right now. Go. It's on Good Old Games. It's cheap. Do it. I'm playing it currently on a 3DFX Voodoo 2.
Wow.
And I'm actually playing it on a GeForce 6200, which is way more than what that game actually needs, but runs well on Windows 98. That card's drivers are the NVIDIA drivers for it still run, so that's what I've been running it on, and everything runs on high at at 1200 by 1024.
Maximum settings.
1280. Yeah, maximum
Yeah.
settings.
I've been playing Unreal Tournament on Linux, actually, as of late, but I'm going to be trying to get the Unreal version and see if I can actually get that to work.
I still need to get the Linux version going,
Yes, you do.
but I will.
You will. I'm ready for you.
Oh, you will. Does anyone have anything else?
No, I think that's it. Those are my top 3.
Same here. You Eric?
Nope, I think I've got it all covered here.
Well, cool. That was a fun discussion. Thank you both.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, thank you. I guess that concludes our program.
Yes, indeed. So if anyone would like to contact us, leave us feedback, give us suggestions for future topic ideas, we can be contacted by going to our Facebook page if you search for Fork Bomb Podcast, or via Twitter at Fork Bomb Podcast, or by sending us an email at forkbombpodcast@gmail.com.
Now, go get gaming.
Yes, that concludes episode 13. No fancy outro. Go play games. Now, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.